Amazon renewed. Most people judge the condition of their phones from the outside, but I personally think it's better to know what's going on inside the phone. Today, we're looking at 3 different levels of Amazon renewed phones to see how good of a job they did on the refurbishing. We have acceptable condition, good condition, and excellent condition, but the price was actually pretty similar for all 3. Let's see how they look. We're going to be starting off with the excellent condition. So these phones are actually Samsung Galaxy phones. Typically we take a look at iPhones, but I decided to kind of switch it up. On the box, it says it's a Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, Phantom Black, renewed, and then it says new. So kind of contradictory there, but let's check it out. And boom, we have some foam holding everything in, lots of dust in there, and the phone. This looks pretty good, but let's see what else is in the box. It came with a slot for a SIM ejector tool, but didn't come with one. And oddly enough, we have what looks to be an iPhone cable braided with the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. So taking a look at the actual phone, I like what I see so far. I mean, this is the excellent condition, so we are expecting excellence here, and that seems to be what we got. So we actually have a plastic wrap around the phone, but for the sake of this video, we're going to remove that because sometimes these refurbishing companies use these wraps or screen protectors to cover up imperfections. So we got all the plastic off, and now what I'm looking for is cosmetic damage or signs that the device has been opened. And I can kind of already see one. If you take a look at this camera over here, you can see that the actual camera itself is slightly shifted, meaning this phone probably has been opened before. The only real sign of use is the charging port, but aside from that, the actual phone, the screen, the housing, everything is pretty much spotless. One thing that I noticed with Samsungs, if the phone has the IMEI on the back, that means that it's likely the original back glass, or that this back glass has been pulled from another phone, because when phones come out of the factory from Samsung, they usually have the IMEI printed on the back. Another way to tell if a Samsung phone has been opened, and yes, this is kind of gross, I have long nails, I know, but you can basically take your nail and kind of run it along the back glass, and if your nail or a pry tool enters the back, that likely means that it's been opened before or improperly sealed. This one though seems to be sealed pretty well. Next up, we obviously have to turn on the phone, check out the software, make sure that all the hardware is working via the software, and then tear it down to see what they did on the inside. And we're greeted by the welcome screen. We'll go through the setup. So you may have noticed that the box for this specific phone is different than the other boxes, and that's because Amazon Renewed uses sellers, and this one isn't the same as the next 2 that are coming up, so it really depends on who's refurbishing these devices. And the phone is set up. That was nice and smooth, no issues there. Stop it. What isn't smooth is how much personal information you have to hand over just to get a phone plan. That's where Cape comes in, because right now most carriers aren't just giving you service, they're collecting your data. Cape though, they take a completely different approach. It's built around privacy first without sacrificing actual service. For example, every phone normally has a static identifier tied to your SIM that can be used to track you, but Cape, they rotate that identifier every 24 hours, so to the network, you basically look like a different person every day. They also give you 2 extra phone numbers built into your plan. So instead of handing out your real number everywhere, you can use those extra 2 phone numbers for signups, verification codes, and whatever else to keep your main number private. And unlike traditional carriers that store everything, Cape actually deletes your call and text metadata after 24 hours. So you're getting normal, reliable service just without constantly giving up your data in the background. If you want to try it out, you can use code PRG33 to get 33% off your first 6 months. Click the link in the description. This is a pretty cool service, not gonna lie. To test this out, the first thing we're gonna do is go to the camera app, and the cameras seem to be working. We'll test out the front camera. Hello. Now we're gonna go to the phone app, and we're gonna type in a special code *#0* #, and we're presented with this menu. So this screen over here is basically just gonna help us test all the functions of the phone. Like if we hit red over here, it shows a red screen so that we can see if the OLED is functioning correctly, and we could do the same with green and blue. Receiver over here makes that noise out of the receiver, which in this case is the earpiece speaker. And obviously it continues on. We're gonna go through all of these and make sure everything is working. The phone passed all of the tests. We're gonna try charging via the port and wireless charging, and then we're gonna crack this guy open and see if anything's been changed on the inside. We'll plug in. Ow. The charger somehow passes current through my microphone, and it hurts every time I do that, so drop a like. Anyway, the phone is charging at 30%, which is great. I still feel it right now. It kind of hurts. There we go. Now for the wireless charger. The phone charges perfectly fine, and it has passed all the tests on the outside. But if there's anything we've learned from these videos, that doesn't mean it's gonna pass all the tests on the inside. Let's go ahead and heat this guy up. So far, this device is pretty hard to open, which might actually tell us that it's never been opened, or whoever opened it is really good at sealing it. We finally got a plastic prying card inside, and the adhesive is pretty strong on this guy. So the nice thing about Amazon Renewed is even if this phone has issues or you find some sort of problem later, you can always just return it. They pretty much take it back, no questions asked, which is pretty nice for a refurbished phone. Open it up. Yeah, everything here looks pretty great, and this is about what you'd expect for an excellent condition refurbished phone. I'm gonna have to go a little bit deeper and see if there's anything I could find, but from the jump over here, this doesn't even look like it was opened before. It might have just been an open box return because I can't see any signs that this was repaired. I was probably over-analyzing earlier because the cameras are mint, both speakers have no dust in them at all, and that seal was really strong. The battery health was good, which is good, and I'll reveal the price of all of them at the end. This company definitely gets a thumbs up from me for their excellent refurbished device, but let's see about the next one. This is the good Amazon Renewed S23 Ultra in a bag. Very nice. And we also have the seller's information. We get a super fast charging brick, and we also get USB-C to C, which is more on brand with Samsung. It doesn't look like an Apple charging cable. And let's take a look at the actual Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. What does a good condition Amazon Renewed phone look like? Let's see. First impressions, looks pretty damn good. Second impressions, I see some things that indicate that this has been repaired before, but I'll tell you what they are in a little bit. Let's check out the software. And it comes pre-charged, which is nice. It also comes with a screen protector, but as I said earlier, these screen protectors can be used to hide imperfections. There's a scratch over here, but that's about it. Nothing serious. We'll go through the setup. To test out this phone, I decided to use a bit of a different method that any of you guys at home can do. So you can download something called the Samsung Members app. And on this app, it actually lets you test every single function of the phone. And it's very, very in-depth. So we're gonna hit test all. And we are going to hit continue testing because I kind of started before. This is a very user-friendly and easy way to test your phone. It goes through pretty much everything you can think of, and I wish more phone companies had this. And there we go. The phone did pass all the tests, but for me, as a technician, it didn't necessarily pass all my visual inspection. So if we go back to the actual phone's exterior, here's what I noticed. So if we look up here on this camera, there is a piece of dust under the camera glass. And I know that because when I try and wipe it off, it does not come off. Now, is this a big deal? No, it's nothing crazy. It does happen occasionally when someone does a replacement in a dusty area. But another thing I noticed is that the screen looks flush all the way until the bottom here. That to me indicates that a screen replacement has been performed on this device, and if I try and shove my fingernail in here, it does go in, which means that it's not fully sealed. Also, if we look over here, I can see some glue which appears to be T7000 glue, but this phone definitely is not water resistant in any way, shape, or form, and if you are buying a refurbished phone, keep it away from water. If this phone has been opened before, it'll definitely be a little easier to open up than the last one. And check that out. Look how easy it comes off. Open it up. Yeah, it's very messy in here. Like I suspected, it looks like they used T7000 glue, and if you look at the back glass here, the old glue is still there, the factory sealed glue, but they just added some of it on top. Not a great method to reseal a phone. You should be taking this old glue off and placing new glue, especially if you're a refurbishing company. Now, looking at the inside itself, I'm not seeing any missing screws or anything like that. We do see some EA Sports stickers over here and over there, but that's about it. That's likely just a temp tamper sticker, but I mean, I can just remove those. Never mind, the tamper stickers do leave some residue, which means that I have tampered with it. We're gonna go ahead and unscrew all the screws and see what else they replaced other than the screen. The annoying thing about this glue is that it actually stops you from removing components sometimes. Like this is now being glued down, the loudspeaker, to the frame, which is not supposed to be happening. There we go. And we can go ahead and disconnect the battery. Remove the earpiece speaker. So this is more so how an earpiece speaker looks with normal use. There are little metal fragments that actually attach to it because it is essentially a magnet, which is why I was kind of shocked with the last phone. Now we're gonna go ahead and remove the motherboard. So on the cameras, you can see a little bit of dust, like I was saying. Some of that might be me, but definitely not all of it. We'll put this aside, remove the charging port board, and boom. What's that? A bright red indicator, meaning the phone has come in contact with water. It doesn't necessarily mean it's been submerged, but it has come in contact with water. So if you guys don't know, there are two ways to replace the screens on Samsungs. There's one way where you can replace the entire frame with the screen already installed, and then there's another way where you can replace only the screen. But that still requires you to open up the device, remove a few things, and then install the screen, and then put everything back together. So far, this good condition refurbished phone isn't in the best shape, and I'm actually gonna remove the screen just to confirm that they did do a replacement. And now we can finally see what's going on under the screen, and to be honest with you, I don't see anything really wrong here. The adhesive they used, if they did do a screen replacement, is the correct adhesive. Despite the screen coming off a little bit, everything looks fine on this end. The only big issue I have with this device is the fact that there's a water damage indicator that's bright red, and the adhesive was very poorly applied to the back glass. Aside from that though, this phone did pass all the tests on the software side, so for a good Amazon renewed phone, not terrible, but also not great. It's time for the phone that I'm most excited for, the used, acceptable condition Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. Let's see if this is worse than the good. This one's from the same company as the last. I'm gonna put the phone aside. You can see we have the same card as we did before and the same charger. We'll take the phone out of the plastic, and first impressions, the actual body itself looks all right until you see some of the really deep scratches over here. Not sure who did this and why, but this looks intentional. I can also tell that the back glass has been glued on the same way as the last phone, but I'll obviously know for sure once I open it. We're gonna go ahead and boot on the phone, go through the same tests, but to my surprise, everything works. We passed all the tests, which is insane, but the phone is getting a little bit hot. I really want to see what's inside this guy. I'm secretly hoping for it to be absolutely terrible inside, because that would be exciting, but at the same time, I hope that it's not, because, you know, the back glass seems to be coming off pretty easily, which definitely means that it has been opened before. Open it up. Yeah, more of the same. We have the same method to seal the back glass down. It seems to be standard for this refurbishing company, which, you know, not the greatest thing. We also have two of the tamper stickers again on the top here and on the bottom over there. Nothing else stands out to me really. There's no missing screws, but we'll know more once we get deeper. Now that we have all the screws removed, we're gonna disconnect and take this guy off, remove the earpiece speaker, and remove the loudspeaker. The board looks pretty much fine. The only thing that we see is a little bit of wear and tear around the camera, but aside from that, everything here is pretty much perfect. What I do want to see though is if the water damage indicator is also red on this device, because it was really red on the last. Now we can remove the SIM card tray, because I almost forgot to do that, and lift up the charging port board to reveal a bright white water damage indicator. Honestly, I'd rather this over the good condition phone. At least I know that this hasn't come in contact with water as far as I could tell. So I think the question we all want answered is, should you buy a renewed Samsung phone from Amazon? Well, first, let's talk about the pricing. The excellent condition phone, which was basically new, cost me 560 Canadian dollars. That's a bit more than you'd pay for a used one on Marketplace right now, but it's a very clean phone. Also, the fact that you can return these phones within 90 days is very comforting. It seems a lot safer than buying one from Facebook Marketplace. The good condition phone was surprisingly similar at 552 Canadian dollars, and although it passed all the software tests, the seal was terrible, the screen looked kind of loose, and it had a red water damage indicator. Last but not least, the acceptable condition phone. This one was 524 Canadian dollars, so it was a bit cheaper than the others, but still not a great deal here. Aside from the scratches on the housing and the T7000 glue used to adhere the back glass, the phone was pretty decent. Honestly, better than the good condition phone. All in all though, I have to say, I think buying from Amazon Renewed is pretty safe because of their return policy. But the condition of the phone you get completely depends on the seller that refurbished it. In this case, gadgets_factory did me well, but I would not buy from BB Wireless CR again. Those guys. That was a joke, but if you guys made it to the end, comment the peace emoji. I'll drop you a like. And if you guys enjoyed this one, drop me a like so we know to do more videos like this, and subscribe if you haven't already. Peace.
Oh.